I relate this, everything is now boiling down in every type of industry or verticals that we are trying to convert everything into data format and bringing the insight, and then doing the analysis and taking the business decisions. Days are gone when your historical data used to be collated and somebody has to collate it and bring the trend, and out of that, based on your heuristic of that industry, you take the decisions. Now the systems are intelligent enough to have this ability to take the real-time data. We all know that, okay, everything which is there in the plant can be IoT enabled, and the moment we do IoT enabled, that means it gives you the real-time data. In terms of the performance, in terms of the operations, in terms of energy consumption, in terms of the different parameters being set. And when we say that, okay, these data are coming, mining this data, multiple TVs of data will not yield a certain result unless you do the proper study and come out with certain trend, or the, I will say that, certain analysis out of that. And this analysis goes in the multiple iterations. So when we say in the multiple iterations means there will be a different approach for the different team to look at the same data. So if I am from a supply chain, I may look at, okay, what is the time it takes from procurement till the finished goods is packaged. And when somebody is from quality, he might see that how many items getting out of his specifications are having the quality defect, but the data still remain the same. So it all depends that what perspective somebody is bringing to look into that. Now, when we start looking at, okay, how this, what are the problems which may come out of this? So the first and foremost is that the way we are going to capture the data, and how we are going to use it, that vision should be clear. And there should be always a minimalistic approach when you are approaching for this kind of analysis, that, okay, we are very commonly nowadays use that, okay, we'll be building data lake or data ocean. And we basically push all the data, be the plant data, be supply chain data, be your operations data. And then we get lost that, okay, how to bring the insight out of that. So when we are planning this kind of things and leveraging technology on the engineering side, we should be very clear that, okay, what are the critical equipment, or what are the critical areas which data needs to be captured? That is number one. Number two, what is the objective, the business objective we are going to achieve? You build your models according to that, and building model also need a maturity process. You can have a one model which is yielding certain results, but that may not be mature one. It needs a lot of iterations, learning, and then it will become mature. Nowadays, we are all exposed to the chat GPT. When you prompt a question, it responds. But if you prompt the same question, maybe a week later, the response could be far better or more contextualized. Because current days technologies has a lot of learning out of its own. So if it has a learning and you bombard with the data, that learning needs to be guided learning, which gives the business benefit. And that is one of the reasons why many of the IT ambitious projects in terms of the data or in terms of the process excellence fails, because your business objective is not very clear, and your whole investments and direction toward that objective is somehow gets deviated. So first and foremost thing, I will say that to have the proper knowledge of your process, have a clear understanding of the business objective. According to that, you basically approach with your technology to get those data, get those informations, have a, I will say, roadmap to do the iterations and mature it, and always go in the phase manner, stepwise manner. You achieve one KPI or you achieve one improvement, model it for the next one, and then gradually you take to the other functions or other soft floor activities. In the field of technology, it is not limited to one function. Technology is the complete, I will say, nervous system or neural system of any organization, any society, any country, or even our day-to-day life. and technology touches every functions, every operations. So when we are changing any technology or implementing any technology or upgrading, this always triggers the change management. And change management is no more for a given function. You need to have the cross-functional team coming together, communicating, understanding their challenges, and it helps to basically not to only manage the change, but to also de-risk from the gaps which we may find while during the implementations. It also gives you the opportunity to plan it better, how to mitigate some of the underlying risk which is there in this plan. Now, cross-functional team also brings the cohesive knowledge of different functions together to basically bring out the best of the optimal solutions in terms of implementing that. And CFT is a very common thing you take for technology, or you take for any process initiative, or you take for any transformation in the business. It always has to be back with a cross-functional team, because you need the different functions expertise in order to manage the risk and in order to embrace the change. There could be different approach for the different industry. This is not one size fits to all. However, on a kind of taking it typical discrete manufacturing industry, which is not heavily loaded on compliance, I will say that the first and foremost, the operational excellence or implementing IT technologies, it is not that, okay, we should go in the big bang approach, or we just go because my marketing head has seen some solutions in his previous organizations and he wants the same here. His ask is right, but whether you are ready for that or not, and the ready for that is the underlying your IT infrastructure, underlying processes, underlying systems. So we need to see it in two parts. Number one, which is internal within the organization, and number two, external to the organizations. Where it is external, where you are interacting with the customer, where you are giving the services to the customer, you should be as quick to respond and adopt to the technology what the market or competition is adopting. I will tell you a very classic example. Look, when the private banks in India, they started with the technology and giving the good experience to the customers. The public sector banks had the same pressure. Their internal banking systems, and currently also their internal process is still not very much optimized like the private sector banks. But in terms of customer experience, they also caught up very well. They also invested in that. The same goes for every industry. From the external side, for the customer side, we have to invest as quickly as possible to bring that experience to the customer. Customers should not feel that the organization is laggard. On your internal side, you can have a phased and planned approach. First, you make sure that your IT infrastructure is a secure one, resilient one, and it is scalable. First, you address that. Many times, most of these organizations, they will have a legacy infrastructure, which you bring the best of the breed solution, but it will not perform. It will not give the right experience to your internal user. So you address that. Second, parallelly, you start the applications or the solutions which are far relevant depending on your organization, looking at the market. Let's say if you are a manufacturing organizations, whether it is important to implement your supply chain first, or whether it is important to implement your preventive maintenance first, or whether it is important to implement WMS first. Now you are implementing WMS, is it has a dependency on supply chain? Have this understanding, decide this, and put your investment plan in that. Proper governance and review of these projects, have the complete participation from the business. IT should come out with the mindset that these are technological solutions, they should own it. These projects should be driven, managed, governed by the business people. There should be right steering committee. And most important part, which we should not forget, is that business will be, or the leadership or the board will be always ready to give you the investment, provided you present in a way that it is going to give the benefit to the business. That is the start and the beginning. The people who are going to manage this, be it IT or be it the digital or be it the CFO, they have to have a clear KPIs and proper governance. Steering committees, when it comes to the implementation time, those are basically to de-risk and ensure that implementation is done. The implementation, doing the implementation, going live is only you are achieving the milestone 1. There are much more milestones which needs to be adopted. That is how you are going to bring the benefit out of that. How you are passing through and taking all this through for the change management, training the people, making the people basically recognized, rewarded, giving them a career, I will say the career path, who are the people who are helping out in this journey. Then exploiting this investment more and more, revisiting that, okay, how the whole solutions can be integrated with other solutions. And when you feel it is stable, you bring out the next level. That is how you can integrate and how you can take to the next level. And never forget that any solutions which you are going to implement, how that data analysis is going to help the business in terms of improving either process or some productivity or taking the decisions. So focus on your internal infrastructure before you take the journey of the general applications. You have to plan quickly and adopt to the new technologies for the customer-facing solutions. Internal, you phase it out, strategize it, make sure that you have proper change management plan. You have a cross-functional team to support every project. The project should be owned, managed, governed by the business people. IT should be the integral part of that. Create digital capabilities in the different functions and have a complete journey. It is not a kind of go live, is not the completion of the project, rather it is the start of the first journey to go to the next level.